For thousands of years, the world's oceans have held a terrifying, cold secret. Beneath the rolling waves and shifting tides lies a silent museum of human history, a vast, dark graveyard of grand civilizations that once ruled the ancient world, now completely forgotten by time. These were not just small fishing villages, they were megacities, grand empires with towering stone palaces, sacred gold-covered temples, and massive monuments. In their golden age, they felt invincible, believing their legacy would endure forever. Yet, they vanished without leaving a single text behind. Swallowed alive by the rising, unforgiving ocean waves, these empires were violently erased from existence in a matter of hours. The very water that gave them life, trade, and wealth suddenly became their eternal watery tomb, leaving behind nothing but an eerie silence, deep pressure, and millions of tons of cold, dark water. For centuries, humanity sailed above these ruins, completely unaware that a ghost world was resting right beneath their ships. They became mere ghosts of history, wrapped tightly in centuries of myths, fairy tales, and campfire stories. For generations, traditional academics argued that these sunken kingdoms never existed, that they were just figments of a poet's wild imagination. Among these heavily debated legends was the grand city of Heracleion. Long before Alexandria was built, this majestic metropolis served as the compulsory gateway to Egypt, the grand customs hub where all Greek merchant ships had to pay taxes to the pharaoh. It was a wealthy, bustling port metropolis where powerful Egyptian pharaohs traveled to receive their divine coronation, and where religious festivals filled the streets with gold, music, and foreign incense. It was the economic heart of the ancient Mediterranean. But in the blink of an eye, around the late 8th century, catastrophe struck. The entire city, along with its massive stone structures and thousands of citizens, suddenly disappeared beneath the cold surface of the Mediterranean Sea, as if swallowed by a sea monster. For over 1,200 years, no physical trace, not even a single broken pottery shard or carved stone, was ever recovered. The city became a blank space on old medieval world maps, a total historical black hole. Modern historians began to grow cynical, openly wondering, was Heracleion ever real? Or was it simply a mythological bedtime story invented by the Greek historian Herodotus to entertain his readers? Why couldn't modern science find any proof for over a millennium? Because the ocean floor is a hostile, heavily guarded vault. It actively resists human intrusion, using extreme pressure and crushing depth to protect its ancient secrets. The moment you dive deep underwater, sunlight rapidly dies. Within a few dozen meters, the environment turns into a terrifying pitch-black abyss, where human biology cannot survive without life support, and where visibility drops to absolute zero. Traditional optical equipment, high-end underwater cameras, and standard scuba gear are completely useless in this deep-sea blindness. The water molecules absorb and scatter light, turning any powerful flashlight into a weak, blurry glow. Underwater explorers and commercial divers could only see a few inches in front of their diving masks. Trying to map a massive, buried ancient empire under these conditions was like trying to explore a dark continent while wearing a thick blindfold. We were trying to solve the greatest historical puzzle of human history while being completely blind. Without a massive leap in technological engineering, the lost port of the pharaohs would remain a myth forever. But the absolute darkness was only the first layer of defense. The ocean had a much more powerful weapon to hide its stolen history: the Great Wall of Mud. Over a span of 12 centuries, powerful river currents from the Nile and heavy sea storms deposited millions of tons of thick sediment, sand, and fine clay over the sunken ruins. It was a continuous, heavy burial process. This thick, heavy blanket of underwater mud completely flattened the seabed. To the modern eye, the ocean floor looked completely barren, a vast and empty desert of smooth gray silt that gave no hint of the treasures hidden underneath. The ancient city was not just resting casually on top of the seabed. It was buried deep inside it, locked under meters of compacted clay. To find it, scientists didn't just need to look through water, they needed to look through solid earth. The ruins were sealed away from human greed, locked inside a natural fortress of silt that preserved the artifacts but kept them perfectly invisible to human exploration. For decades, traditional marine archaeology relied heavily on physical digging, luck, and tedious manual search. Divers would spend months operating blindly based on pure guesswork and historical rumors. Diving teams used small hand brushes and underwater suction hoses to clear small patches of mud off the seabed, hoping to catch a glimpse of a stone wall or an ancient coin. But the ocean always won. The exact moment a diver cleared a tiny section of mud, the violent underwater currents would wash the fine sand right back, reburying the artifact instantly and erasing hours of human labor. At this agonizingly slow rate, mapping a single ancient street or temple complex would take hundreds of years and millions of dollars. The scale of the ocean was simply too massive for human hands. Human effort had reached its absolute biological limit. Traditional marine science was completely stuck, and the mystery of Thonis Heracleion seemed destined to remain unsolved forever.
Then, a mind-blowing technological revolution arrived, instantly smashing the traditional rules of historical exploration. Science decided to stop digging blindly and start thinking with the power of light. The technology is called LiDAR, light detection and ranging. Originally developed for aerospace tracking, this system was about to be weaponized for archaeological discovery. LiDAR is an advanced remote sensing instrument that uses active light waves to see through what is physically impossible for the human eye to penetrate. It is the ultimate scanner of the modern digital age. This is not a mere digital camera. It is a supreme scientific instrument of pure physics, measuring the behavior of photons to map the physical geometry of our world. It possesses the unique capability of digitally stripping away the entire ocean body, treating the water and mud as if they were perfectly transparent glass. To scan the deep abyss of the Mediterranean, the advanced LiDAR system was mounted onto specialized high-altitude research aircraft and autonomous drones, transforming them into airborne scanners. These research planes fly in highly disciplined, perfectly straight grid patterns over the target ocean area, carefully covering every square meter of the sea with systematic precision. Operating high above the rough waves, the scientists remain perfectly safe from the dangerous underwater currents and dark, zero-visibility conditions that crippled previous diving teams. The aircraft commands the sky, looking down at the vast blue ocean with an unyielding, absolute digital precision that no human explorer could ever match. The invisible trapdoor of the ocean was about to be pried open, unlocking secrets that had been fiercely guarded for over 12 centuries. Once the plane reaches its designated altitude, the LiDAR optical sensor activates, firing a continuous, blindingly rapid blast of high-energy laser beams downward. The device is capable of firing up to 1 million laser pulses every single second. This creates an incredibly dense, invisible web of light traveling down through the atmosphere. These lasers travel at the absolute speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second, cutting through the air like digital arrows. They smash directly into the ocean ripples with perfect mathematical alignment, covering the vast sea surface in a matrix of pure, focused energy. Standard light waves like white flashlights or red lasers bend violently and scatter when they hit water, losing all their power and turning into useless background glow. But bathymetric LiDAR utilizes a very specific, high-tech green wavelength. This precise frequency of light is uniquely tuned to slip through water molecules without losing its tight focus. This specialized green laser cuts straight through the deep sea, traveling down through dozens of meters of murky water without getting scattered or absorbed by dark currents. It doesn't stop at the seabed. The green photons pierce right through the soft, loose layers of mud and silt, traveling until they strike the hard, solid stone surfaces beneath. The very millisecond they hit the buried ruins, the laser beams bounce backward, reflecting off the ancient stones and traveling right back up through the water column. They return to the airborne sensor at the exact speed of light, carrying with them the precise geographic coordinates of the hidden world. The LiDAR system measures the exact unfathomable nanosecond it takes for each individual laser photon to travel from the sky, hit the solid ruins, and bounce back to the plane. This mountain of raw, complex binary data is instantly fed into a powerful onboard supercomputer capable of performing trillions of calculations per second. Using advanced mathematical equations and proprietary filtering algorithms, the computer processing begins its digital processing magic. With a few keystrokes, the software digitally deletes the entire body of water, erasing the Mediterranean Sea from the equation as if it never existed. Next, it applies a topographic filter to digitally dissolve the thick layers of mud, calculating the exact elevation and solid structure of the actual seabed. And then, in a dimly lit research laboratory, the ultimate historical breakthrough in human history occurs. Out of the chaos of billions of raw digital data points, a highly organized, undeniable structure begins to materialize on the high-resolution monitors. The oppressive darkness of the ocean floor is instantly shattered, replaced by a breathtaking, glowing 3D digital blueprint of an entire civilization. Thonis Heracleion was no longer a myth, no longer a ghost story told by ancient poets. It was real, and it was monumental. The lost empire of the pharaohs was standing right there on the screen, recreated with millimeter-perfect digital precision, resurrected by the power of modern physics. The LiDAR scan revealed a breathtaking urban expanse that no living human eye had witnessed for over 1,200 years. The data mapped out a massive, highly sophisticated urban network of grand royal palaces, interconnected stone highways, and long harbor docks. The lasers clearly highlighted the foundation walls of giant temples, including the legendary Great Temple of Amun-Gareb, where rulers of Egypt once bowed. Even more shocking, the scan exposed over 60 ancient wooden shipwrecks, completely buried under mud, yet perfectly preserved in their original positions. An entire forgotten empire, frozen in a state of sudden death, was completely mapped and documented in a matter of mere hours. But LiDAR did not just locate the physical city, it did something much more profound. It solved the cold case of its violent destruction. By analyzing the precise 3D elevation models, geologists noticed a fatal, tragic flaw in how the city was engineered. The massive, heavy stone temples and golden palaces were built on a highly unstable foundation of soft, waterlogged clay and Nile Delta silt. When a massive earthquake struck the region, a terrifying geological phenomenon occurred: soil liquefaction. The solid ground instantly lost its strength and behaved like a liquid. The entire foundation of the city turned to liquid mud, causing the grand buildings, temples, and citizens to slide violently into the sea in a matter of hours. This is the true revolutionary power of modern exploration technology. It bridges the gap between historical myth and hard scientific reality. It doesn't destroy or disturb the fragile ancient artifacts buried under the sea. There is no heavy machinery or invasive digging required. Instead, it uncovers the historical truth with absolute safety, leaving the delicate heritage of humanity perfectly preserved and untouched. With a single sweep of an airborne laser, we can see straight through the dark, heavy shroud of time itself, transforming old legends, myths, and folktales into solid, undeniable, and verified scientific knowledge for future generations. As we stand here today, less than 5% of our planet's vast oceans have been mapped or explored by modern science. Millions of historical secrets, lost prehistorical civilizations, and forgotten human stories are still resting silently under the deep mud of our world. But the deep, dark ocean can no longer keep its stolen treasures hidden away from human curiosity. Advanced science has finally given eyes to the deep, blind abyss, allowing light to conquer the ultimate darkness. The green lasers are armed, the supercomputers are waiting, the aircraft are taking off. What empire will we scan next? The past is waiting.